ao vivo, híbrida em português e inglês. We do this in Portuguese and English because we have now, like, guys, to seeing you now, and it's an honor for us to do this job. We work a lot to be here, and we are very excited to promote this. And now I'd like to give the phone to Ritesh, and we talk a little bit with us about this partnership, the strategy for Brazil and the Latin America.
Bom dia. Para tudo que está aqui, tudo está online, né? For everyone here and everybody online. Eu vou misturar português e inglês também, né, Marco? Mas meu português é muito ruim, né? Só eu falo mais ruim que a pessoa fala, né? Bem-vindo tudo. Bem-vindo Nadal, bem-vindo Tamireles, Snake, everybody else. Isso é um momento histórico para nós, Jaisa. Muito obrigado para esta oportunidade para nós, Marco. Que nós vai começar nova jornada. This is the first step of many to come. Today, the work we have been doing, we are launching the first Cynosure training academy in Brazil, and one of the few lipo centers, and one of the few centers on regenerative medicine, which is going to change. Eles vai mudar como você faz dermatologia no Brasil no futuro. Combinações laser, microneedling, regenerative medicine, and fat. So I'm very excited, Marco, Jaisa, to be part of this, to change the science, to change the clinical, and to bring something more meaningful for long run. So thanks for this opportunity. We are very happy from our team to get started and be part of this. So thank you, Marco. Jaisa?
Thank you. It's such an honor for me here to have this training center, and I hope to do my best. I am in love for skin. I love microneedle, and now with this so powerful treatment, combined the Potenza and the Pico Pro with the Cynoglow, I'm so happy, and you can believe I will do my best, and I will give this for a long time. Thank you so much.
Now I invite Nadav to talk a little bit for us.
Thank you. So I will not speak in Portuguese, but in English. Just want to say I'm so excited to be here. This is really what Cynosure is all about. Bringing together three things, right? First, great clinicians. So thank you very much. Great technologies, and the science and the evidence behind it. So I'm really excited and looking forward for the day. Thank you.
Dr. Miralles, now is your show. Thank you.
Hello? You hear? Okay. Sorry. I was saying that I have arrived this morning, and I will come back home tomorrow. but it's amazing for me being here and share my experience of the last 2 years with Potenza, with fractional radio frequency with microneedles, and my experience with Pico Pro. I have Pico Pro some months ago, but I have a lot of experience with the first Picosure since 2013, 10 years, about 10,000 sessions with the Pico Pro, and with other dispositives, with other devices of Cynosure, about 20,000 sessions made. Okay. I want to explain that this presentation is intended for educational purposes only, and I will explain my experience. I will use some combinations that are very new and are new experiences, but of the label. But one of the objectives of the dermatologists with technology is explore new possibilities and give new results and new experiences. Now, this is my history. It's not interesting. I started in dermatology 35 years ago. I am 60 years old. I love dermatology. I thought that I will be a good pathologist, but the first day I started to study dermatology, I said, I love skin, and that is my life. Why? Which is the mechanism of action of radiofrequency fractional with microneedles? Is a new possibility. It's not laser. We have no chromophore. We will give the energy where we want with the microneedles, as deep as we want, and we can control all the possibilities with this device. Many years ago, I had a microneedle radiofrequency that was very strong, because now we can give as deep as we want. We can do it as quick as we want. We can give the energy we want. And many years ago, it was impossible. And you had not the possibility of control in every area of the skin how you want to do it. And the treatment was very, very, very complicated with a high level of inflammation. The microneedle, because of a motorized tip, enters, gives the energy, and goes up as quick as we want. And we can do in two forms different. We can do it monopolar or bipolar. This is a big possibility because we can make the treatment as strong as we want, not only with a level of potency. We can give combining the different possibilities. And what will be the result? We will obtain a tightening of the skin. We can treat this possibility, and till this moment we didn't have any other possibility that was HIFU. But in this treatment we will have also a very important possibility. At the same time, we treat deep and we treat superficial, and also we can combine as we want. So because of that is different of other devices. If we make laser, we must make a very important damage for going deep, and we have a limit. We cannot go very deep. And when we make the classical radio frequency, we don't have many results. I have a device of classical radio frequency, and the results are limited. But when we are treating of this form, we can treat at different levels. I have also a HIFU. When you treat with HIFU, you can work at 4.5 millimeters, 3 millimeters, 1.5. Here you can work at the deep you want, because you can treat as you need, as you want, and you can make different layers in different areas. You will treat this area with some passage, and in the front, normally you don't need. You can treat the periocular area with high security, more high security than injections, and better results. And which are the factors influencing this effect in the tissue? The intensity in bats, the time you can give, more short or more long shot. And very important, the impedance, that is the resistance to the pass of the energy. And that produces the hot effect. And what is the difference of these devices? We are monitoring the impedance at all the moment. In every shot, in every pulse, we are monitoring 4 times the impedance. If we are seeing an impedance between 300 or 600, we can work. If it is higher, we must change the parameters. So, why potenza is very interesting? We have 4 modes of radio frequency. We can work monopolar, bipolar, 1 megahertz, 2 megahertz. That is very important because we can combine it. Normally we will work especially in bipolar and 1 megahertz, the most of treatments, but we have the possibility of going deeper, of going stronger. 10 different tips. We can work, we will see in the next slides, but we can work with different needles, only with the final non-isolated, with 2 levels non-isolated, that is the tiger tip, and we are working at 2 levels at the same time. It's very interesting when we want more tightening. The fusion tip is another tip different, and any device has this possibility because not only produces a channel for delivering of different products, introduces this product. We will see a video very interesting. And very, very important, I will show at the final of the presentation an image of a dark skin treatment. We can treat all types of skin. You know that when we treat especially Asiatic skin or darker skin, the risk of hyperpigmentation is really high. We can do with security and all the year. That is also very important. I make the treatment in July, in August, that in Mallorca is a strong summer, 24 hours of downtime, and during the next times, don't going to the beach, but normal life. Big number of publications about it, abstracts in the American Laser Society, case studies of very important people, much more important than me, as Christine Diericks. I love her, is a big laserist. So, we will repass monopolar, bipolar, 1 megahertz, 2 megahertz. We can see that if we work at 1 megahertz, the energy is absorbed slower, so we can go deeper and wider. 2 megahertz, 2 million cycles per second, the energy is absorbed faster, so it's more intense and focused in one point. Monopolar and bipolar. When we use the fusion tip, we obligatory must make monopolar, but normally we will make bipolar because it's more quick and it's more easy for do it, and you don't have any problem of these molds. We can combine as we want for obtain the best result in every patient. Obviously, in a darker skin, I will not work with the more strong treatment. I will be more going more slow and with low energy. But the results are really good in all the effects. It's painful, yes. Without anesthetic, it's not possible to do it. With topical anesthetic, correct. But the classical EMLA is good. In my opinion, is a cream. And if we use anesthetics, topical anesthetics in cream, it's very oily. And also we produce in occlusion a hyperhydration of the surface of the skin. So the needle don't go so deep, and for remove it is really complicated. We use a special formula that uses lidocaine 10%, prilocaine 7%, tetracaine 6%, and in a special basis of formulation that is gel PLO. It's a gel that is used for introduce drugs in patients that have problems for take some treatments and for parenteral administration of some medicines. In this form, it's very easy because don't need occlusion, 30 minutes, and it's very easy for remove it. Yes, normally with depressor, you pass it and you remove completely. You pass sí, una espátula. Lo que tienes que pasar es una espátula. And after you clean and you apply an antiseptic solution, water correction, and you can start with no problems of oily skin. Here you can see the different tips. Normally, when I don't want to make a very strong treatment, I use the insulated tip. You have 16, 55, and 49 needles. You will see that when you give the energy, you will give the same energy but with different number of needles. So with 16 needles you give more energy in every point, and when you make normally 49 needles you give the energy in the same area but more. When will we use the tiger tip? When we want more tightening, because I repeat, we are working in two levels. The same, 16, 25, and 49. So if we are using 16 needles with tiger tip, we will be very, very strong. Be careful with the energy you give. The fusion tip. The fusion tip, only 21 insulated needles, but produces a pressure for introduce the product more deeper. You will see now in a video. And the single needed tip, firstly I thought, and that for what? But I have seen one video of a doctor from Madeira, Karina Gobelas, she is eliminating the little cysts with the single needle very easily. And it's really useful. The fusion tip is only from Potenza and is really useful. We must work always in monopolar mode, but it's really useful for introduce different products. I will present you two patients. We can introduce hyaluronic, we can introduce polypeptides, we can introduce polyglycolic acid, we can introduce tranexamic, and much more possibilities. And colloids, we can make a uniform distribution of the corticosteroids for make a better, a more uniform treatment than when we make in infiltration. It's really, really useful. When you use it, you can feel that the pressure, plop, plop, plop. Here you see the mechanism of the fusion tip, because makes first the pressure and then with the needle introduces. And here you can see this video from Diane Kibal. And you can see with the ink how the distribution is really uniform and deeper. And this image for me is, is very important. When you use microneedle conventional, not uniform and not very deep. When you make mesotherapy, it's not uniform. You give many products in some areas and not uniform. But with the fusion tip, it's evident. In a congress that we made 1 month ago in Palma, in Mallorca, we tried to repeat that. That is very difficult because this gel is very difficult for make, because it's a gel that is used for make probes with the it's called ballistic gel. So we learned to do it. It is made with protein, with gelatin, and with glycerin. Buy glycerin in Spain is impossible because because can be used for other not good things. But in the pharmacy they use it normally for make magistral medicines. So we could do it and repeat. So that is completely real. The screen of Potenza is really useful, as the screen of Pico Pro that we will see after, because we can recognize the tip immediately. We can choose monobipolar, it's very easy. We can change 1 megahertz, 2 megahertz with security, because if you use the fusion tip, it says only monopolar, you cannot do. We are monitoring the impedance all the time, very important, because we are seeing if the treatment is effective or not effective. We choose the as quick we are making the shots. My assistant makes normally 0.2, 0.3. Normally it's 1 every second. It's very, very, very slow. But when you can do with the security that you are giving the energy uniform, you can go very quick. And normally you make a full phase in 10, 12 minutes. Fifteen minutes. But you must be very careful, not for a start. When you start with this treatment, with this type of treatments, slow. With all the devices. It's very important the uniform distribution of the energy for avoid secondary effects. It's the secret. And talk with the skin. read what is saying your skin. This is, for me, I say in some masters I am giving there in Mallorca and in Valencia and Madrid, it's very important, read the skin. Read the skin. You are talking with the skin and the skin answers. And if you are seeing that you are going well, is a normal edema, is a normal redness, continue. If not, modify the parameters. If the impedance is really high, you must go up in energy. You must go up. When you are using a topical. Is good. You can go down. If you use a saline solution, you may go down. And if you go that is going, you must go up. But normally, if you can clean correctly the skin, if there are not rests of the anesthetic, you will not have this problem.
Sorry about the persons that are online. I was talking to Dr. Mirables about the impedance, that it's important to save the protocol. It's a safety thing.
You maintain between 300 and 600.
600, okay.
You also can try can choose the impact. What means impact 3, impact 4, impact 5? As is higher, is more quick than trans and of the needle. Normally we work between 5 and 6 because makes the treatment and you give the energy more quickly. The time of the shot, normally we work between 40 milliseconds. We play more with the bats, with the power, than with the. For me, giving in 40 milliseconds is very sure, because if you make the shot more short, you give very quick the energy, and then you can have some problems. And then you obtain the most important, millijoules every pulse. Normally we work between 1,000, 1,400. We can go up, but when we are sure. If you go up, I have seen treatments between 1.6, 1.8, but be careful because for the patient it's not so good. This patient was a big smoker, and you can see the face after 2 treatments. The change of the aspect of the skin is really wonderful. When I introduced the photograph, has disappeared the effect of tightening, but she's now very happy. She's waiting for the next treatment. I used an I-49, and I was very with very low fluence. She was one of my first patients. This patient was being treated for these acne scars. Potenza is really useful for acne scars. And she was being treated with 3 treatments of non-ablative fractional laser, 1540, with short result, because you know that when we treat with non-ablative fractional laser, we need between 6, 8, or 10 sessions. With only 1 treat, she's going better, and she's more happy because she is very affected with these acne scars. This patient is a young girl that has a problem of big pore, oily skin, and with 2 treatments she is really happy. We have made the 3rd treatment and she is very, very, very happy with that. Has changed completely the aspect of his face. In neck revitalization, for me, is the best treatment. I make HIFU also. No, it's not the same. The results are the best. And normally, with only 1 treatment, the result is really wonderful. In abdominal area, I have an Italian patient. This is from Dr. Doherty. I have an Italian patient that with the first child didn't see Potenza, and we made fractional non-ablative laser combined with fractional picosecond, the classical, no Pico Pro, sino Picosure, the first. Good, but 7 sessions. With the second child, we have made only 2 sessions of Potenza combined with 1540, with a really good result. Combination therapies. This patient also acne scars, and we have been using hyaluronic booster. This patient with 1 melasma, with no much good results, only with fractional of picoseconds, we made the fusion tip with tranexamic 5%. We can do 10% also with high level of security, and he went much better. And now we will pass to the picosecond. Why? Why is different 705.55 than other wavelengths? We will see. That has been stopped. Okay. Why picoseconds are better than nanoseconds? When we are working with picoseconds, we give a high peak of energy power of gigawatts. When we are working with nanoseconds, we are working in megawatts. We are producing an photoacoustic effect. But which is the difference? When we give the photoacoustic effect with nanoseconds, we have a high thermic effect. When we work with picoseconds, we reduce this thermic collateral effect. So it's a cold laser. And also, we produce, in the case of particles of ink in a tattoo, we produce a more high effect immediately. So we reduce the number of sessions, we reduce the inflammation, and we reduce the complications, because you know that eliminate tattoos is the most difficult treatment we can do with laser. In the Pico Pro, we introduce a new spot, the 5 millimeters, especially for use in the Cynoglow. But I think that Cynoglow is more open, because we can make Cynoglow with the other spots, with 6, with 8, and with 10, especially with 10 millimeters in dark skin, with a high level of security, as I will show you. And why Alexandrite 755 is better? If you see the absorption by melanin and by hemoglobin with this wavelength is where we have more separate the absorption between melanin and hemoglobin. When we work at 532, it's so similar the absorption that we obtain an effect of purpura very quick. When you have purpura, it's an endpoint with high possibilities of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So when we treat with 532 dark skin or Asiatic skin, surely we will remove the lentigo, but we will have a hyperpigmentation and we will need treatment during many time, a lot of time. So for me, in my experience, in 10 years of experience and about 10,000 treatments, the result in Asiatic skin is very different, a low level of problems, and in dark skin, the same. And you know that these people every time is claiming for aesthetic treatments. So we must offer this type of treatments with security. Here you see the studies that confirm that we have less inflammation when we are working with 755 with alexandrite. Can pass, please. And also we have something more. We have a fractional mode, the focus. And now actually in the Pico Pro, the focus platinum. How we produce that? With individual microlenses, focused energy goes in 100 microns in extremely little areas, but we are delivering 20 times the higher energy in every point. And then we produce an effect, an histologic effect that was published by Dr. Canghetti, a really good paper, explaining the LIOP effect, the laser intradermal optical breakdown. And this effect is produced with this device. And he made the treatment with this device, not with other device. And this effect is so interesting that when we, in every point where is given the energy, it's like an explosion. And then is an effect that produces a remodelation of the skin. And in my experience, I am only clinician, but that I see is when we use a combination of treatments, Potenza and Focus, or Potenza with fractional non-ablative 1540 and Focus, I think that are different ways of inflammation that are automodulated. That is very interesting, because people that is, we are making combined treatments has the same time for recuperate the skin, has the same time and no more secondary effects. Is the interface. And another difference of the Pico Pro with the Pico Sure is that we can modify the fluence with the same spot. We can play. Before it was not possible, and now we can give more energy, less energy, and we can treat different types of people. This was the first patient I made. The combined treatment I presented in INCAS in 2018, making the combination of non-ablative fractional laser and Focus. She is from Chile. She went to Chile after the treatment, and in Chile was summer, and she came very well. And 1 year after, he didn't have problems of hyperpigmentation, was really wonderful. This is a patient from Madagascar with a very dark skin, and he had hyperpigmentation in the face and a big pore. Only with 2 treatments with fractional of picoseconds, with the spot of 10 millimeters, the result you can see. Control of pigmentation and better condition of the skin. In some cases of melasma, only with focus, we can obtain really good results. Now, if it can be useful for you, I am not using every time hydroquinone, because hydroquinone for me sometimes produces the effect that you don't want. We are now using a combination of niacinamide oral and topical, and a new formula, the pigmentant, that is called thiamidol. It's really useful, this combination. Eucerin is and not irritates the skin, and combined with focus is really interesting. So if we combine technologies, we will obtain the results faster. The results will have more longevity. We have results shorter in time, and we must not have the patient every time in our clinic, and people don't want to stay every day with us. This is one of the best results we have had with a new combination, only one treatment. And we have made the microneedling. We used the tiger tip, 1.200 millijoules, and at the same time we made the 1540 with 15 milliseconds of shot and 50 millijoules by microthermal zone. 24 hours of inflammation, and you have here the result 6 months later. She is really happy. She wants another. She's very, very, very happy. What is the danger with this type of patients? That in the first session the result is really wonderful, and they wait that the second treatment will be also so effective, and that's not real. Will improve, but not so quick. Please. This is another patient after one treatment. In this case is one Cynosure, and this is another patient before and after. After made a combination of Potenza, I-49, and non-ablative fractional laser. This was the second patient we made this treatment. We have here, and we have the lateral effect. It's really nice. And finally, this is a Brazilian woman with a dark phototype. She was made before another microneedling treatment in another place. I will not say, but she was not happy. Many painful. And with tiger tip, that is more strong, And the Pico Pro, we have obtained a really good result with only one session. Now she has made 2 sessions. I have put this image because I think that we are now in Brazil today. I think that work with security in dark skin types is really wonderful.
Me, the best part of this before and after, it's about the browns, because
Yes.
she had that thing that like a tattoo on the browns, and now it's more natural here.
Is the effect is really nice and very natural.
Yes.
And I work with a high level of security, the periocular
The
area.
periocular area,
And
it's important.
sorry, because I am more than of devices, but I don't like
Very high,
injections
yes.
because the high risk. I think that we have another possibility, and with security. Oh. Don't want pass. Yes. And sorry if I have not explained completely well. I think this afternoon I will be more.
It was really,
And,
really
This is an
pleasure,
image
Dr.
of my
Milano.
home. And
Beautiful place. Beautiful, beautiful place. An incredible, amazing lecture. I hope to learn a lot from you about the Potenza and the Picosure Pro. It's so important for us. Your
when
time
you want,
doing
and
this.
if you want, come to Mallorca. You
Oh,
are
it will be a
invited.
pleasure. Yes, we'll do this soon. Thank you so much, Dr. Milano.
Question. I have a question. Do you have any experience with hyperhidrosis with Potenza?
No, but I have studied something, and we are thinking a start because it's very interesting, and I think we can make an uniform delivering of botulinum toxin with really good results and with a high level of security. Yes, I think that Potenza in hyperhidrosis can be a promising treatment.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good. Tem alguém do online que tem alguma pergunta? Pode fazer. A gente está aqui à disposição para.
Hey, thank you for your lecture. And I want to ask you about leukodemia gutata, leukodermis.
When you have that white balls on the skin, I don't know the name. I think it's about
The leukodermia, the
Leukodemia
hypomelanos.
Yes.
This is, I think that if we can make a treatment that resolves the hypomelanosis gutata, we will develop a Nobel Prize because it's so many people that is talking about that. We can have good results with non-ablative fractional laser.
so many sessions.
But it needs so many sessions that is very expensive for the patient. And for me, the problem is this patient will be careful after the treatment with the sun, because if not, we will restart continuously. That is the really problem. I remember that some years ago with microdermabrasion, we couldn't obtain some good results. With the non-ablative fractional laser, we can obtain good results. With Potenza, we couldn't have good results, but I think that is not the target of treatment. If we are not looking for tightening, if we want only make a diffusion of this, I think that the non-ablative fractional laser, the 1540, especially one handpiece that is the 15 millimeters, that has a high density of microthermal zones, but a very low energy, we can obtain good results. Some years ago, I presented in a congress the treatment of melasma with the non-ablative fractional laser. The PICO wasn't started. And there is an effect very interesting, because when we treat with this handpiece, hypopigmentation goes better and hyperpigmentation goes better. There is an effect of modulation of the activity of the melanocyte. This is for a study because it's very, very interesting.
I'm waiting the studies, and when you start to treating the hair, the scalp with
We have
these
not
two.
started,
Yes,
but it's interesting.
I
And
think
for
so.
the experience that I have seen in some places, that is not painful,
It's not
and
painful.
the results are really good.
Very good. Yeah, we can start it.
There are so many
Dr.
things that we
Aline
can do.
loves the hair treatments, and she does a lot.
It's a possibility of apply the dutasteride, and
Perfect.
dutasteride when you make the infiltration, it's
Injectable,
really
it's
painful.
really
It's
painful,
terrible for the
yes.
patient. So
We can do with
give
the diffusion tip.
an uniform
diffusion tip.
distribution.
The distribution like you showed us. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Mirables. Okay, so we're gonna give 5 minutes to drink something, and then we come back here to the training center. Thank you so much, Mirables.
No, thank you to you. And sorry because
No,
so
it
many
was
hours of flight is.
no, today I can't believe you're
that.
here and giving this class for us. Thank you so much.
You are a roller of a skin
Thank
as
you,
me.
thank you. Yeah, that's
I
all
think
right.
we are in the same.
Yes, I'll take a paper and a pen, you to write for me the anesthesia about the percentage. Lidocaine?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I will write you.
No.
And,
Bueno, gracias.
espero que haya sido útil. Estaba un poco dormido, ¿eh?
No, I don't know how you do
The
it.
next time I must go
You
one
jet
day
lag it.
before.
Yeah, definitely. At least you can have a good time, you know, and go for dinners and everything, and then it's a lot, you know. But it was wonderful. Thank you so much.
I
We had 60 people.
Oh,
Very
nice.
It is my honor.
Here, no, don't worry, that's okay. We have online people seeing us. Don't worry. I followed you on Instagram about 3 years. I saw you in Gstaad.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
were
yeah,
in
we
a
were-
conference
yeah.
there.
Very
and
interesting stuff
I'm
there.
really interested and loving in your job and in what you do about the London Regenerative Institute.
I will give a little bit about it. Not
Yeah.
too much. We don't
And
have too much time, but yeah,
I'm
it's
so
going to be interesting.
happy to have you here.
It's
So
our pleasure. And like maybe afterwards we can talk about London Regenerative Institute.
we can call the
Yep.
Evet, sen onu.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Have you here. Thank you. It's our pleasure. Okay. Oh,
No, I'm dermatologist.
yes.
Yes. Fabio is our plastic surgeon.
Yes. Dr. Father, he's from our, yes. Let's go there. They have a lot of rooms and it's a dream.
Hello.
Yes. You want to
Yes.
go there now? Let's go. I'll show you through the paper kind of after. You can sit here. May I take a picture?
Of course.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will introduce him. So can we start? Can we start? Are we not? It's on. So are we gonna have a couple of people? Okay. Okay, I'm starting. Shall I? Okay. Hello everyone. This is Nazlı. I'm the marketing director of Lipocube Biotechnology. So today we are here to talk about Lipocube with Dr. Tunç Tiryaki. Dr. Tunç Tiryaki is the founder of Mage Group, which covers Lipocube as well as the sister companies Morphia and London Regenerative Institute. So I'd like to invite him here and thank you for
Nazlı, thank you very much. So, thanks for the invitation. Thank you for accepting us at your clinic. It's a beautiful clinic, very impressive. So, yeah, let me start without boring you. These are my disclosures. I'm the founder of the Mage Group with a group of people, actually all of whom you probably know. So, that story starts in 2006 when we started isolating stem cells from the fat using an American device called Cynosure. So that was the first enzymatic stem cell isolation device. And that was a very small core group. So we were together with Steve Cohen, Kai Schladraff, Michael Shefflan. To be honest, back at time, like this is nearly 20 years ago, nobody was talking about stem cells. Nobody was doing anything with stem cells. So it was very interesting times for us. But then in 2015, FDA said, okay, because you are using a biologically active drug, what you get is also a drug. So they literally banned stem cell isolation. somehow. So what we did was, we had two options, either to say, okay, sorry guys, we are quitting, but we didn't. So what we did was like we gathered all together and started working on the alternative ways of getting stem cells out of the fat. That's the basis of the MAGE group. So it is created together with Steve, you know Benjamin Ashar, the head of IMCAS, Diane Duncan, the mother of exosomes, Sahar, Kai, Aris, all of them are the founders, co-founders of the MAGE. MAGE's kind of like job is to create task forces full of genetic engineers. So our first task force was to create a group of genetic engineers working on stem cells, which came out with the Lipocube, a mechanical stem cell isolation device. Then we had another task force which started working on exosomes, and I will talk about that as well, that's coming out. But we also created an international institute where we are doing treatments, but also teaching with the core founders of the MAGE group, which is the London Regenerative Institute. So, but my journey with fat is actually much, much older. I was a resident when I started working with Dr. Oymak. He was the first plastic surgeon of Turkey, trained by Paul Tessier. You know, he's kind of like the godfather of us in plastic surgery. And back in 1996, when I was working with him, he was doing fat transfer. So imagine, when we were hearing about the questions about fat transfer, does it work whatsoever, we were like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, because we were doing it for years. The issue is, back at his time, when they were doing facelifts, this was the facelift what they were doing, right? How was it? Okay, you are too kind. Yes, it is really. The reason of those like terrible results was because they didn't know about the volume. Then we learned about the volume, and we were like, okay, now we're gonna fill the patients. Where we end up like that. How is it? Yeah, you be continuing. Nice. This is one of my patients who had a typical facelift, and I did a second facelift. So it got better. This is another patient of mine, a combination of stem cells, facelift in 3 dimensions whatsoever. Probably tomorrow I'll be talking about that technique at the Congress. But basically now we are getting much better results. Not because I'm a great surgeon, because we know more about the facial aging. So this is from Brian Mendelssohn's work, showing the people when they were around 25s and when they were around, this is 70, but this is the same patient, 25 and 50. What you see here is a significant bone resorption of the facial arches. So basically we are aging not because the skin sags, but because the framework is getting smaller, the ligaments becoming loose, and everything sags down. So as if, imagine you have something like very tight on yourself, then you get COVID, you lose 10 kilos, everything sags down. That's aging in the simplest form. Can we go to the next slide, because I'm not able to do it from here? Yes, thank you very much. So if I need to summarize aging in a nutshell, this is it. It is first a multi-layer volume loss, then a secondary ligamental attenuation of the superficial systems and the surface aging of the patient. The logical first kind of like defender is of course like using fillers, but more and more we are seeing really horrible results with the fillers. And actually I believe the reason why we are still having fillers on the market is not because they are very useful, but it's the industry which is hushing the complications, pushing the patients, and we are pushed to use fillers, unfortunately. Now, the logical alternative of fillers, which is a huge market, by the way, is fat. The issue with fat is the fat transfer, as we know, has been designed and described in 1994. This is my computer in 1994. I am not using it anymore. That's quite a bit of old-fashioned. Now, with our new understanding of the framework loss, playing with the ligaments, I can do really much better. So, in such a patient, this is a real case scenario, putting the fat on the bone, increasing the framework, injecting into the ligaments to literally fill them again, and like lifting. That's why this technique, what we do use now, is called the lipo lifting approach. You can do this. This is just fat. So you have a weapon which you can use for the bone, for ligaments, for surface. And you can combine this with all the energy-based devices, even further improving your quality of the result. So fat transfer is not only fat transfer, it's volume, it's ligamental lifting, and it's also skin quality. I will, today in the evening, I'll be talking about a bit more about the harvesting side for the dermatologist, but here we are more with the plastic surgeon, so I'll go directly to the processing. Processing is now important because we know when we get the fat, I can use fat on different layers for different purposes. So I need a device to resize the fat for different purposes. This has two very important points here. Now, the fat what you harvest from the patient with any cannula is going to be ununiformized. There are small chunks, bigger chunks, very big chunks. The problem of that is these big chunks, if you inject them superficially, you will get lumps and bumps, and the necrotic central area of the larger chunks is going to be much larger, so you're going to lose more fat graft. Resizing all your fat down to microfats will have two advantages. First of all, it will reduce your risk of complications. Even if you inject superficially, it will be fine. But more maybe important is like it's going to reduce your fat loss, so you're going to increase your efficacy. Microfat is used more for the volume, multi-layer, but if you want to improve the skin quality, then you need to go down even further and create nanofat, like using, let's say, Voluma, Volift, and Volite. You can use fat for different layers for different purposes. That means you need a fat resizing device. Now, all of them are good, and it is much better to use any of them than not using one. We started using for the nanofat the Tulip device from Patrick. The problem of that was because we were also working with the stem cells. When we were doing cell counts, what we seen was like at the nanofat what you get, there are no stem cells. And then we were like, what's going on there? So when we get back to the science, we have seen that the filter size of Tulip is very tight. Now, keeping in mind that the stem cells are attached at the extracellular matrix, you literally trash out all the stem cells from your final product. Like, you inject only trash, basically. So what we did was to optimize the filter sizes in the simplest form, to cut and let the extracellular matrix go through the filters, and you can in this way get double the size of stem cells at the nanofat what you inject. That's been published together at the same group with Steve and me. And in the simplest form, this white cube, the nanocube, is a set of blades. So from the first port, if you run it, this is microfat. It is uniformized, safe to use anywhere. If you want to create nanofat instead of microfat, so you create microfat and then you continue emulsifying, and then from the last port, you get nanofat out. So one single device to give you everything what you need for fat resizing. When you come to the injection, like we were really having trouble in teaching this, you know, like where to inject, how much to inject, etc. So what we did was, using the rise of the AI, we uploaded all the data what I have collected in the last 25 years, 3,200 cases, and checked for patterns. So what the AI system found out was very interesting. First of all, we have recognized specific points of injections. We are not injecting everywhere. We are injecting always to some locations, always. So we named them. Think of it like the fat transfer MD codes. On the templar area, we are having three major points of injection: the temporal ligament, the crest, the hollowness. In the midface, we have the median, medial, and lateral arcus marginalis on the bone, zygomatic arch, and the zygomatic ligament. Note that I'm constantly injecting into the ligaments. And then in the jawline, I inject first vertically down below the mandible, then to the front of the mandible, then into the monumental ligament, then into the mesenteric retaining ligament, and to the mandibular borderline. This was kind of like about where we were injecting. Now, what about how much we were injecting? Again, similar patterns raised. We have seen the older the patients get, the more we were injecting. And the correlation between the ages of the patient and the amount of injection was roughly 2/3. So imagine if the patient is, let's say, 45 years old, you would immediately know that you're going to inject roughly 30 cc's of microfat and roughly 15 cc's, 1/3 nanofat. We have also seen patterns about where we are injecting. We have seen that 1/3 of that fat was injected to the lower arch, 1/3 to the middle arch, 2/3 of the rest to the temple. So let's take a look at a real patient. This is a friend of mine, pre and postoperative Canfield measurements. So she's 54 years old. Let's do the calculation. The patient comes to you, and by just knowing the age of the patient, of course, we are working on different anatomical changes, like with the micrognathia, there will be different calculations, and that will come as an app later on. But basically, in the simplest form, if the patient is like 54 years old, I know I'm going to inject around 36 cc's of fat. Let's keep it simple, 18 cc's on each side. Okay? Again, I know 1/3 of that is going to go to the jawline, 6. 1/3 to the midface, 6. 2/3 of the rest to the temple, 4. Let's take a look at the actual injection amounts in comparison to the guidelines. I have injected 6 cc's to the M points, 6 cc's to the J points, 3 cc's to the T, a little bit less than the guidelines. And we have got 1 year postoperatively Canfield comparisons, 4.3 cc's of fat on the temples, 4.3 cc's on the midface, midface and jawline, and 1.5 at the temple. So 70% graft uptake in fat injection, like in fat hosting areas. Because you have fat here, you have fat here, but there's no fat at the temple. So you lose more somehow there, and you lose more, for example, in the nose. So going fast forward in the technique, this is how we use it. We are actually using the fat like a filler, and imagine we are using a thicker cannula, 1.3 millimeter cannula, which makes it, thanks God, impossible to create any vascular occlusion problem. So 1 cc going down on the bone here on the medial part of the arcus marginalis, scratching the periosteum away from the bone, injecting on the top of the periost, actually below the periosteum. Second, third cc, fourth cc goes to the zygomatic arch, and the fifth cc will go into the zygomatic ligaments. And now take a look at what happened to the lower part of the midface. I added volume, and this is empty because it's been lifted. Now the same thing is valid for the mandibular area. What we have seen is actually what we are doing with fat transfer. We are manipulating ligaments. Literally. That's, maybe we shall call it deep plane fat transfer. It will be sexier, right? Anyway, in the jawline, it goes like 1 cc to the vertical down part of the mandible, 1 cc more to the front, 1 cc into the melomental ligament, pushing the frontal part of the jaw to the front, then going back, injecting to the mesenteric retaining ligaments, pulling the ligament backwards, basically elongating the jawline and tightening it in 2 dimensions. And the same thing is valid for the temporal area. Very important point here. When you inject to the templar ligament or frontal ligament, like same amount of injection, same location, same hole, same volume, slightly different depth. Like injecting on the bone will actually lift the brow, wherever if you inject it into the superficial system, it will fall it will make it heavy and the brow will fall down. This is a beautiful injection, again on the nose, just keeping in mind that by aging, the piriform bone is going backwards, so every patient after the age of 35 is having a longer nose. So the nose falls. So with every facelift patient, with every fat transfer patient, we do inject the nose to make it thinner and to rotate it upwards. Here is another ligament. It's a Brazilian ligament. It's the Pitangui ligament, where we inject below. So what you do here is like you inject just below the Pitangui ligament, pushing the whole tip system up and rotating it cephalically, and this is what happens. And actually, using fillers, it's the same technique. Again, the industry, like when you listen to the nose filling courses with the fillers, they inject 4 cc's or something, right? Like there, here, here, and then nothing happens because you just make the nose larger. Believe me, if you inject 0.2 ml of filler from the columella up below the Pitangui ligament and squeeze it, that will be it. Now I have injected the bone, I have injected subcutaneous tissue. I will be injecting into the dermis in order to improve the skin quality, and also using a dermal roller. You can inject the nanofat intradermally, yes. And even now they created creams where you can just, yeah, it's beautiful because patients love it. Like imagine your personalized stem cell cream. So now, let's take a look at the results. This is a tear trough injection. All of these patients are 1 year postoperative. Mid-face and the jawline. Yeah, yeah. Like there's no implant, nothing. It's just one single injection of fat transfer, multi-layer. And what you see here is very interesting. When you literally widen the mandible, it is actually lifting the middle part of the neck like a hammock. So I didn't do anything to her neck. There's a laser here.
There's the higher one.
Oh, here. Oops, here. You see? Can we go further? One slide further. 10 dakika sonra. So mid-facial injection, generalized facial fat transfers, unfortunately in older patients and in hostile recipient bed patients. This is a Romberg case who had been injected 2 times with normal fat transfer. You need something more. And there we know that we have adipocytes in the fat, but also stem cells in the fat. What we do here is like, if you just trash out the adipocytes, the soup of the regenerative cells, what remains there is called the stromal vascular fraction. How to get that is slightly different than the nanofat formation. So here, the idea is not resizing. It is a total destruction. Now what we do here is like, we get the fat, then running through a different type of cubes with different layers inside. You literally crash everything and then spin this down. We know stem cells are very little and they are not distracted and destroyed by mechanical harassment, basically. So you just crash out the adipocytes and you get your stem cells out by spinning them through a centrifuge. And we know for a long time we were getting only 50% of the stem cells out of it using this technique. But then we just checked where the rest of the stem cells are in the fat. And we have found out that they are still attached at the extracellular matrix. Most of them are still attached. So when you spin this distracted fat, what you get here is like some of the stem cells, like nearly half of them are here inside. Where are the rest? The rest are in this Buffy code, which we did the publication about stromal vascular matrix, and the rest of the stem cells are here. So if I can get this out and this out, I get all of the stem cells out of the fat, like in enzymatic digestion. How would you do that? Actually, it's very simple. You just trash this out to one syringe, change the syringe, get it out, change the syringe, trash this, and then resuspend the stem cells inside with your stromal vascular matrix. So harvest all of them. What is the difference between nanofat and SVF? It is all about the level of concentration. Like, forget about the numbers. Let's imagine you have, if you, in 1 cc of fat, you have 100 stem cells. So if you inject 1 cc of nanofat, in the ideal scenario, you inject 100 cells. If you get 10 cc's of fat, digest it into 1 cc, you're going to have 10 times 100 cc's. So it's all about the concentration of regenerative power. And using stem cells and SVF, this is a steroid injection over the right-hand side, before and after 1 year. This is a radiotherapy, lumpectomy, single session of stem cell enriched fat transfer, heavy rigotomies here, 2 years postoperative, and this is 10 years postoperative down the line. Even more villain, like normally plastic surgeons, as we are, we would like to just cut her into pieces, take something from somewhere, put it there, etc. But unfortunately, the patient had significant health issues. So what we did was, we injected the area with stem cells and fat, waited for 3 months, and put a second implant. 2 sessions of 30 minutes operation. Interesting case, a polio, she lived like this for all her life. Again, single session of fat transfer. You can use them for wounds. Amazing results, really. Diabetes, this is shotgun. This is the Romberg case I have shown before. And of course, if you combine these things with surgery, now injecting the fat on the bones, stem cells into the skin, combining with a facelift, you can do this or this. Again, fat, stem cells, and facelift. And again, like, this is just one surgery. Now, imagine stem cells are, let's go a little bit into the future, very close future. Stem cells are heavy weapons, but you need to do surgery. It's like using an aircraft carrier in a war. Nice. But what do aircraft carriers do in a war? They send planes. What are the planes of the stem cells? Well, these mythical creatures seem to know the answer before us, hundreds of years ago. And science is supporting those myths in a way. So this is a 2015 Nature publication where the researchers featured old and young mice together. And when their blood circulation came together, what happened was the old mice started getting younger. But even more spooky, the young mice started getting old. This information transfer of youth is done through little messengers, which are called exosomes. So if you inject stem cells somewhere, what happens is like the stem cell checks in the environment, then takes a small piece of the membrane inside and fills it with information and send them out, hence they are called exosomes. And these exosomes go to the target cells and trigger them to regenerate and replicate. The main importance of exosomes, or the main difference between exosomes and stem cells are large cells with major histocompatibility complexes, as you know, name tags to be said. So you cannot use other people's cells in other people. But because exosomes are very small, they don't have these name tags. So you can use other people's exosomes. You can use other animals' exosomes. You can use even plant exosomes for your cases. So there are many exosome sources. The question is, like, what is the best solution? Obviously, the best solution is using human exosomes, and ideally from a human young tissue, maybe plasma, placenta, amniotic cord, amniotic fluid, or cord blood. If you can't use it, because usually it is regulatory-wise problematic, the next best option is to use animal exosomes, because they are very similar to our genetics. What about plant exosomes? I mean, as long as you are not a plant, it doesn't make sense. So as of today, the two main major sources of using safe exosomes are either human stem cell culture or young tissue. Now, there are many exosome companies out there. One of them is available in Brazil, I think Exocobio, which is good. Exocobio, yeah. And they have really good results. The only minor issue there is, if you compare umbilical cord blood exosome in content and the peripheric content, like adult content, what you see here is like the microRNA regulation, upregulating microRNA keys and downregulating microRNA up here are completely different in old and young exosomes. So rather, we need to use young tissue. That's why we started working on calf umbilical cord sources. So what we are doing is to get the cord blood from calf, cruelty-free, we isolate the exosomes, and then what you get is this, like a bubble full of software update microRNA. There are around 1,500 microRNA, which are the keys to change how your genes are activated. The issue or question, if, for example, you have an Apple II, iPhone 2, and you try to update it with the recent software, it wouldn't work because the software is not enough. It's the same with the cells. The cells, if they don't use the useful information for a long time, they don't keep the building blocks. So the technology what we are using is we get the exosomes, then we prepare liposomes with the necessary hardware, and we hybridize them with the exosomes, creating hybrid exosomes, which keeps the hardware updates as well as software updates together. These are the comparisons between animal and human microRNA. It's 98% similar. All this like preclinical data last 7 years. So they are uptaken by human cells. They are creating, forcing human cells to create collagen, increasing the fibroblast proliferation, much faster wound healing on the crest, and that's been published on the Aesthetic Surgery Journal. It's probably the first exosome publication in the plastic surgery realm. So now the teams are or have created a line where you have the injectable form of cord blood, exosomes, and then you have a topical form which can be used after surgery, and then you have even a like home usage topical to be used later on. In the clinical data, we have done third-party clinical comparisons. So roughly 50% better than skin quality improvement in comparison to retinol. And you can use them for hair. You can use them for skin. These are like 2 months. This is from Steve Cohen's clinic, 2 months of just topical exosomes. From our clinic, burns before 1 week and 2 weeks. These are just topical. This is an 11 centimeter long unhealing diabetic ulcer, 3 weeks of topical exosome cream. And even fingertip amputation. She obviously had to have surgery. Somehow she decided not to. And again, like closure of the wound by just topical exosomes. So the game, or the name of the game now, is not only hardware treatments as we all do, it's also about software updates. And here comes the International Institute, where we are actually gathering all the forward-thinking scientists under the umbrella of London Regenerative Institute, where we of course teach internationally, but also they are using all the cutting-edge biohacking treatments, from hyperbaric oxygen to hypoxia treatments, IV treatments, IV exosomes whatsoever, and with all the satellites around the world. So the future is not only about what we do, because even the Olympian gods need us, because their bones resorb at the end, even if they are gods. But for us, the next thing is to get these exosomes in the oral form as a supplement. Thank you very much. If there are any questions?
This future is coming out. You wrote a chapter in this book. Yes.
Here we go.
Sorry, because you have people online. It's such a pleasure have you here. I'm really fan of your work. I follow you on Instagram, and it's here. It's so happy to have you here. And I wrote a chapter in the book. It's the last one for the future of dermatology. And I believe that this is the future of what we do in our skin. Like you said about the industry, you put something in our face, everything just for hire. And now we have our own power with our fat, of the stem cells. And today was a great day for Brazil and for everybody who's seeing us, the online and the YouTube and there, to see that it's possible. And you already do this in Istanbul, San Diego, London, and all over the world. And now it's a pleasure of us in Brazil have
Absolutely.
it here. Thank
We are
you so
looking
much.
forward to getting in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks everybody. Everybody was online. Thank you. Does anyone have any question in the online session? And for me, Dr. Aline. We are lucky that we have Dr. Flavio here. That's a plastic surgeon, because I think the only thing for the dermatologists that we have to have the plastic surgeon together to do this work together.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yes. But it's possible, and we can go further with this. Thank you. So, tem alguma pergunta? It's okay? Tá. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to be here.
Thank you.
Encerramento. E queria agradecer a presença de todos. Acho que para nós, a gente sabe que vai escrever esse capítulo na história aqui no Brasil. A gente vai poder olhar daqui a um tempo atrás e ver que estamos criando um novo marco da história da dermatologia e da cirurgia plástica. E queria convidar o Ritesh para também fazer aqui um encerramento, suas últimas palavras, para a gente encerrar o evento.
No, muito obrigado, Marco Jaisa, Dr. Tunk, Dr. Mireles, everyone else. We are excited to partner up. Nós estamos muito animados para o futuro de dermatologia, na combinações com tudo. So muito obrigado para essa parceria. Vamos começar, né?
Obrigado, pessoal.